بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
الحمد لله ذي العرش المجيد المبدي المعيد الفعال لما يريد المنتقم ممن عصاه بالنار بعد الإنذار لها والوعيد. أحمده حمدا يليق بجلاله وهو القائل: من عمل صالحا فلنفسه ومن أساء فعليها وما ربك بظلام للعبيد. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، لا ند ولا ضد ولا نديد. وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله الداعي إلى التوحيد، الناصح للقريب والبعيد، المحذر للعصاة من نار حرها شديد وقعرها بعيد. أما بعد, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in His glorious book, أفرأيتم النار التي تورون أأنتم أنشأتم شجرتها أم نحن المنشئون نحن جعلناها تذكرة ومتاعا للمقوين. Have you not seen? Do you not pay attention? Do you not notice and reflect on the fire that you kindle, the fire that you use, for whatever purpose that you use that fire? Have you grown? Have you brought into existence the fuel and the wood for that fire? Or have we caused the tree to grow? Have we allowed you to use the fire? Indeed, we have made this fire two things. Tadhkiratan, as a means of reminder, wa mata'a, and a means of provision, a means of benefit, a means of outfitting yourself, lil muqween, for travelers. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He poses a question, the answer is well known. He poses a question and the response is well known. Allah is saying to me and to you, to us, the things that you use in the worldly life, the benefits that you reap, did you bring them into existence or have we brought them into existence? What would the world be today without fire? How many inventions, how many breakthroughs in science and medicine and technology and basic living, cooking, eating and sleeping, how would they be if it wasn't for fire? How did fire change how man lived, how he walked, how he talked, how he dealt with his friend and his neighbor? Because of the creation and the invention of fire. And the things that came from that invention and that creation. Wielding and forging and making and creating and building and riding and traveling because of fire. So Allah, He brings up this favor. He reminds His slaves, those who are grateful and those who are ungrateful, those who are thankful and those who turn away from thanking Him, those who believe and those who do not believe. Have you made this fire or did we make it? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He doesn't say the fire, but He says the tree, the wood, the original fuel. We made it, you didn't make it. And He reminds His slaves of the hikmah and the wisdom behind making this fire. Fire which can be destructive, fire which can be ruinous, fire that can be a means of havoc. But Allah says that there are two main wisdoms behind this fire being brought into existence. The first is tadhkirah, once again a reminder, a point of reflection, to ponder, to think about it. And the second is a benefit, a worldly, tangible benefit. We have two questions in this great verse in the Quran al-Kareem. The first question is, why did Allah mention tadhkirah, a reminder before a provision? Everyone doesn't take remembrance. Everyone doesn't take the reflection, the maw'idah, but everyone uses and benefits from fire. What did you eat this morning for suhoor? If I ask you the question, what you had for suhoor this morning, most of you will raise your hands. Maybe not all, but many of you, if not most of you, will raise your hands. I had this that was cooked, that was prepared, that was boiled, that was fried, that was grilled, that was baked. You used fire today. If I asked you, what do you do for a living? What is your profession? I do this, I drive this, I fly that. Things that were made, that were built, that were put together with fire. The building. How is the building constructed? The pillar that I'm looking at right now. Look, everyone look right there. That pillar right there is made from metal. It's holding up the roof. Only Allah knows what is behind this sheetrock and this wall and this panel and these tiles of steel that's folded and forged together with the usage of fire. But Allah, He didn't say that first. He didn't say mata'an wa tadhkiratan lil muqwin. He didn't say a means of outfit and a means of reminder. But He mentioned the reminder first. Even though everyone doesn't reflect and everyone uses fire, everyone benefits from fire. He said that it is a reminder and it is a benefit, a provision, a means of outfitting for who? For all of His slaves, for the righteous, for the wicked. Allah says, lil muqween, for those who travel. And the wisdom behind this, once again, is that the traveler benefits from fire much more than the resident benefits from fire. The one who's on the road, the one who isn't at home with his comfort, in his comfort zone, he benefits from the fire, not like the one who's in his comfort zone. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says it is a tadhkirah, a reminder of the true fire, the real fire, the fire that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has used as a tool, as a means of casting fear into the hearts of His slaves. Those slaves, not servants, but slaves, abd, that He created to know Him, to understand His beauty and His perfection, to call upon Him, to invoke Him, to supplicate to Him, to obey Him, and to single Him out in worship in everything that they do, with statements, with actions, and with one's heart. This fire that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has spoken on in countless places in His book, and He's diversified the way in which He has addressed His slaves. Sometimes He says, Ya ayyuhan nas, O mankind, O you who believe, Ya ayyuhan nabi, fear Allah, be mindful of Allah, u'iddat lil kafirin, prepared for the disbelievers, those who disobey Allah and His messenger. And it's not just a fire that Allah says. Allah doesn't talk about being burned and then that's it. You burn and you perish and that's it. Allah speaks on the horrors of Jahannam, the terror of Jahannam, and the fear that the people will have when they're in Jahannam. And they will ask for death. They will ask to leave. They will ask for one day of respite. They will ask for Allah to lessen the punishment. Allah speaks on the hellfire from Surah Al-Fatiha until Surah Al-Nas. telling his slaves about Jahannam and the reality of Jahannam, and that it isn't like anything that you can ever think of and reflect on and ponder about. However, the least that you can do is think about the fire of the dunya. And that is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that we have made it as a means of a reminder, a tadhkirah. In other words, when you see how hot the fire is, and you may want to pick up something or touch something or grab something, but your nervous system, it's an involuntary will not to touch that thing and to drop it immediately. Anyone who's been burnt, he knows what the fire and what the hot surface does to his hand or his arm or his face. The damage, physical and psychological. Have you ever met someone that was burnt? Someone that was in a fire? Someone who was badly, severely burnt? They're not like normal people. Their nerves are not the same. So many of the Sahaba and the righteous ulama of the past, they would go to the blacksmiths and the swordsmiths and the ironsmiths, and they would sit there and they would look at the fire. They would look at the forge. They would smell the sulfur and the iron, and they would reflect on the sweat. They would reflect on the uncomfortability of that fire. And then they would think and they would recite this verse out of the Quran. And some of the Sahaba would intentionally light a fire to sit in front of it and ask himself, as it's narrated that Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu says, "Ayasbiru or atasbiru ala hada ya ibn al-Khattab?" Do you have the sabr to do this, O Ibn al-Khattab? Do you have the patience to bear this fire? He would ask himself the question. There was one of the Muslims of the past who was captured. He was a captive of war by his enemies, the non-Muslims. They took him as a captive, and they wanted information from him. And they also sought to humiliate him and to disgrace him. But he refused. I won't tell you anything. I won't give you any information, any intelligence about the Muslims. So they locked him up and they put him in a cell. They threatened him. They tried to attack him. And they also tried to buy him out. They offered him wine. They offered him fine, beautiful women. They offered him all types of halal things. There will be a means of humiliation to the Muslim. And the man in that cell, before Allah had delivered him, he said, I had one thing in that dark cell, and only one thing, and that was a candle. He says, I took the candle, and it was lit, and when I became hungry, when I became tired, when I became thirsty, when shaitan called me, when my nafs called me, when I thought about the permissibility of taking the allowance to say something that's wrong, to protect myself, he says, I grabbed the candle, and I brought it close to my fingertip, and my fingertip burnt, and when it became too hot, and I snatched it back, I reinstituted my resolve not to say anything, not to drink it, not to eat, because he thought about the small flame of the candle, the small, tiny, minute flame of the candle that you can put out with your finger. If you do not have the sabr to be burnt by a candle, if you do not have the sabr to be burnt by a hot plate, if you do not have the sabr of cooking and baking something and open up the oven, then what do you think you will be like? What patience do you possibly, or can you possibly have on a fire? And with a fire that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, that the Prophet ﷺ speaks on, saying it's only one of 70 parts of Jahannam. What sabr do you have? How you want to protect yourself from that fire? How you want to ward off from your tender, small daughter, your son, your mother, your wife, your father, those whom you love so much. If you saw them being thrown into a fire, what would you do? What would you say? How would you scream and shriek to protect them from being burnt? Perhaps you would ask and say, burn me instead of my little son and my little daughter, my mother, my father. So this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, protect yourselves, ward off from yourselves, from your mothers, from your fathers, from your children, a fire, not like a normal fire. It's not a candle, it's not a campfire, but it's a horrible, tremendous fire that has rage, a fire that speaks, a fire that talks, a fire that is greedy and never ever reaches its full. As Allah has said in the Quran, the hellfire will ask for more. هل من مزيد? Are there any more that you wish to throw in me, O Rabb? So you have no sabr for this fire. So the smart Muslim, the wise Muslim, no matter how much knowledge you have, no matter how little knowledge you have, the smart Muslim is going to say, let me protect myself from this fire, because I have no way of being patient upon that horrible torture. Ask yourself firstly. Ask yourself before anyone else in this musalla, how am I protecting myself from the fire? Am I protecting myself from the fire? What have I done to emancipate my soul from this horrible torture? أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله تعالى لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه كان غفارا. الحمد لله وكفاه صلوات الله وسلامه على عباده الذين اصطفى. أما بعد، قال الإمام البخاري رحمه الله تعالى: حدثنا سليمان بن حرب قال حدثنا شعبة عن أبي إسحاق قال سمعت عبد الله بن معقل قال سمعت عدي رضي الله تعالى عنه يقول: سمعت النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام يقول: اتقوا النار ولو بشق تمرة. وفي رواية: فمن لم يجد فبكلمة طيبة. Imam al-Bukhari, he narrates, going back to Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu, that the Prophet ﷺ says, protect yourselves, ittaqun nar, fear the fire, avoid the fire, ward yourselves off from the fire, walau bishiqqi tamra, even if it's with half of a date. Keep yourselves from Allah's wrath, from Allah's anger, from Allah's punishment on that day when the people will stand, on that day when the people will be thirsty, on that day when people will be hot, on that day when the liars and the beliers and the rejectors and the deniers will all confess and acknowledge to the greatness of Allah, and they will know the trouble that they're in, and they will realize, when I was asleep, when I was drunk, when I was laughing, when I was playing, when I was fornicating, when I was stingy, when I was hoarding my wealth, when. It's over now. And Allah has brought us back. They will go to the father of humanity, Adam alayhi salam, the father of all human beings, and they will say to him, they will beseech, they will ask him of something, and he will tell Adam alayhi salam, Allah created you, the first man. He told the angels to prostrate themselves to you. You have a virtue. You have a status with Allah. Please do one thing. Protect us from the fire? No. Ask Allah to forgive us of our sins? No. Tell Allah to put us in paradise? That's not what they're going to ask Adam alayhi salam. They're going to ask for one thing and one thing only. They're going to say, ask Allah to commence the judgment. Ask Allah to begin putting this one in the fire and that one in paradise. Can you imagine this? Did you think about this? Is that they realize what's going on. But because the standing is so severe, so formidable, they will ask Allah to commence the judgment, which is a means of their destruction. And when they go to Adam alayhi salam, they will say this and they will say that, and they will tell Adam to pray to Allah, ask Allah to commence the judgment. And what will Adam alayhi salam say? What is this hadith? Have to do with the hadith that we just said. Protect yourselves from the fire, even if it's with half of a day. Adam alayhi salam will say, and Nuh alayhi salam, and Ibrahim, and Musa, and Isa, they will say, إِنَّ اللَّهَ قَدْ غَضِبَ الْيَوْمَ غَضَبًا لَمْ يَغْضَبْ قَبْلَهُ مِثْلَهُ وَلَنْ يَغْضَبَ بَعْدَهُ مِثْلَهُ. Indeed, Allah is angry today. And Allah has never been this angry, and afterwards Allah will never be this angry again. So the Prophet ﷺ, he tells us, protect yourselves from the fire. Protect yourselves from Allah's anger. Keep Allah's wrath from your tender, soft, weak, feeble body, and your soft and weak, feeble mind, because the fire is much more than just physical punishment. The Messenger of Allah ﷺ, he received revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Obviously, he knew that some are wealthy and others aren't. Some have influence, some don't. Some work and others don't. Everyone does not have the ability to give and to spend and to be rich and wealthy and provide a lot. So he gave you a solution, a way out, without being asked. He said, وَلَوْ بِشِقِّ تَمْرَةٍ, even if it's half of a date. Allahu Akbar. Not a date, not a carton of dates, not a box of dates, not an iftar, but half of a date. Raise your hand right now if you can't give half of a date in a lost cause. Who's the person that's so poor they can't give half of a date? This hadith, there's another story that Aisha radiallahu anha, after the Prophet's death, she was in her home and a woman came to her. This woman was poor, very poor. And she knocked on the door of Aisha. And she came in with her little daughter. Give me sadaqah. So Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, the wife of the Prophet, she didn't have much to give. So she gave the woman a date. The woman opened up the date, took out the seed, began to eat the date. And what happened? Her little daughter pulled on her leg. Her little daughter pulled on her dress, pulled on her skirt, pulled on her overgarment. Ummi. The little girl was hungry. So the woman took the date and she gave it to her daughter. She was hungry herself. She didn't have anything to eat. And she gave preference to her smaller daughter to eat. Aisha radiallahu anha, she told that woman, indeed I heard the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam say, protect yourselves from the fire, even if it's with half of a date. So fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, fear Allah yaqi. Fear Allah. Ittaqullah. Protect yourselves from Allah's wrath. The money that you give, fi sabilillah, isn't for me. It isn't for him or her or this one or that one. It is only for yourself. It is only for your nafs. The fire that you protect yourself from is based off of what you put forth. A date, $1, $100, whatever you can do for the cause of Allah. You make the decision and you make the choice. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us all from the fire. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us from that day in which the torment will be real. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept our good deeds in this month and outside of this month. Wa aqim as-salat.